Well, I think another part of this book is there's this whole nightclub, Instagram, EDM era that's happened over like the last 10 years. And I think this documents that whole era a lot because, you know, you talk about Steve Aoki and you talk about clubs paying you to go to places. And part of the Instagram, which was the biggest platform in the entire world, you were an integral part of that. So like, honestly, I feel like this kind of documents that whole era, not just your life.
Yeah, it was a very interesting time, man. I honestly didn't think that Instagram was going to continue like it has.
Mm-hmm.
It's taken over the fucking world.
Yeah,
man. It's like they've hacked your brain and they've figured out ways to give you that intermittent positive reinforcement, and it secretes dopamine and it's addictive, and it's something that, you know, people, they get hooked on this attention and they get hooked on the likes and they get hooked on, you know, people telling them good things. And then also on the flip side of it, it's like the world's best dating app. I mean, if you want to get laid, you do a post and then all these girls are now thinking about you, they're texting you. And I talk about this in the book. That does a very integral shift because now you've got girls chasing you as opposed to you reaching out to them. And I don't think people understand how important that is.
Yeah.
When a girl is pursuing you versus you reaching out to them, in their mind, very different things are happening. When you're pursuing them, they're looking at you like, okay, like, do I want to hook up with this guy? Like, what's wrong with him? Like, they're looking at all the negatives. When they're pursuing you, they're like, oh, why isn't he texting me back? Like, does he not find me attractive? They're questioning themselves. It's literally night and day.
Yeah.
Right. And so
you mentioned they put you in a scene where you're supposed to hit on Cameron Diaz and you're like, I don't hit on girls, so I don't really know how to do this.
No, that was funny, man. I totally imploded. It was for the movie The Other Woman.
Yeah.
And Nick Cassavetes put me in there, and it was funny, man. I think I told the story pretty well in there.
Yeah.
It was an interesting moment because
he expected you to be some like Lothario womanizer Casanova, and instead you were just like, no, they chase me because of the setup that I have in my life.
Well, he had been on vacations with me where we had taken a bunch of girls down to Cabo and I'd fucked almost the entire lot of them. And so he had seen it. He had seen it firsthand, the girls competing and just like the debauchery. And when you see something like that, you're like, okay, this guy gets tons of pussy. Like he's going to be the smooth talking, whatever. And like, I didn't have terrible game. It's not like I couldn't talk to girls, but I wasn't it just wasn't my approach. Like I wasn't the guy, like I did that in college. Like I went up to a bunch of girls and I would hit on them and whatever, but it wasn't so much hitting on them because I found hitting on them was very counterproductive.
Yes.
So I would invite them to do things. Like I would say, hey, you know, we're having this party. Do you want to come out? We're going out on the boat. You know, do you want to come wakeboarding? I would invite them to things. There would be other girls there. There wouldn't be the real pressure of interaction. And then, you know, you'd end up hooking up at some point. And it was kind of like very casual interactions, subtle stuff. It wasn't the blatant hitting on them. And they wanted, you know, because Hollywood, they paint this unrealistic picture of what is effective with women. They tell you, hey, hit on a girl, tell her how great she is, kiss her ass, do everything she wants to do. All the things you're not supposed to do, Hollywood tells you to do. So, you know, this was another example of like they want you to like aggressively hit on some fucking random girl at the bar, which almost never works.
Right.
Like almost never works.
If it does, she was already ready to go home with someone, or you had something else going for you, like the pre-selection, the money, the fame, something else like that.
Yeah, but in movies, they show it working.
Yeah, the movie Swingers ends with the main character walks into a bar, sees the hottest girl he's ever seen in his life. They get together, and I'm just like, she'd be on her phone. The fuck is this? This would never happen in a million years. And I always thought it was like damaging.
Yeah, it's just, they just perpetuate this nonsense. And yeah, like, oh, you know, can I buy you a drink? You're so pretty. Like, it's just, that's bullshit, man. That doesn't work. That's bad. It's counterproductive. It's a terrible game. And so anyway, so he wanted me to basically, you know, hit on this girl. And I don't hit on girls. I don't do the cheesy pickup lines. That doesn't work. So I didn't really have, and he wanted me to like improvise, and I'm just like, man, this is not my thing. Not to mention like Cameron Diaz was looking at me like she wouldn't fuck me in a million years, which like mentally threw me off a little bit too, you know? So, yeah. And plus she was like way taller than me.
Yeah.
I mean, she's my height, but she had like 5-inch heels on. So she's like 6'2", and Nick's like fucking 6'6". So I felt like a midget asshole. And then when Nick recommended they put boosters in my shoes, it just like totally fucked me up, dude.
Yeah, that would mess with me too.
Like, God damn it, you know?